4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower.
Brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and a race to show off.
I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Anderson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening indeed, and welcome to Chaz Draycott Media. Welcome back to Chaz Draycott Media. The Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship is back with us for Season 7. And not only that, but the championship continues to go from strength to strength, now having 2 splits. There is Split A for the Elite and the Premier drivers. They then also... Sorry, not even that. I've got my classes mixed up already. We'll go through that in a minute. I'll get it right. It's Chaz Draycott and Ed May back in the commentary box with you all again. Hello, hello, hello. Just realised that Ed's May. Flipping heck. What a great start. Ed's name isn't on the flipping graphic. There he is. Ed May. Hello, everybody. Hello, Ed. And, well, aren't we glad to be back, mate? It's amazing to be back with the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship.
It really is. We've been sort of gliding over our fix of GT3s with a little bit of action on the Chaz Draycott Media channel, haven't we, with the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour, but we've got a real full-blooded championship now, don't we? There's no sort of mid-season sort of little mini championship. No, this is the full thing here for Season 7. It's bigger and better than ever. Like you rightly mentioned, Chaz, with those 2 splits, we have the GT3 Elite and GT3 Pro classes in this A split. Over on the B split, we have the Premier and GT3 Evos. So we do obviously have those championships to think about as well. Actually, another thing to note, Chaz, with the teams championships, there has been a change as well, because I've also noticed that we have 4 drivers now to a team, but I think it's only the top 2 scoring drivers can score points with no drop rounds counted.
Yes, absolutely, and they can also be spread across both splits as well. So the 4 drivers in a team can be, you know, they could have 3 racing in this and then 1 racing in the other split as well. Split B is broadcast by our very good friend Joe Glass over on the Evolution Sim Racing the Evolution Sim Racing YouTube channel. So if you wanted to go and check out their stream as well, then you are more than welcome to. Unfortunately, Joe is on his own in the commentary box tonight. He doesn't have Dara with him, so hopefully he has a good evening of it and manages to keep up with everything, because as usual we have a very, very big grid of cars. 54 cars in the session at the moment, and we have the very best of the ESR community in this server here tonight. We have, of course, previous multiple champion Luke Lucchese in the series, car number 124, back with us again tonight, Ed. And holy frame rate, we have 10 different GT3 cars in the field for this season, and we are going to be seeing the debut on the channel of the Honda NSX, which the Acura NSX, the beautiful machine that it is. And to be honest, I'm quite excited to see how it gets on.
Yeah, me too. It's something that I haven't really had too much knowledge about in terms of its sort of performance level on iRacing. So it will be very interesting to see, like you mentioned, how it gets on. Currently on board with Francois Brandet in the DXT Solar livery, and my god, it is very bright, isn't it? That lovely gold with the dark sort of matte black finish on the underside, as you can see. Francois going through turn 1 now. Nice little engine note as well. Seems quite raspy, does the Acura. Trying to think who else we have in his team. Teammate actually of Matt Hoyland, not out on the circuit at the moment, but Matt is fastest in the Pro Class, as we see the Honda going for a wander.
Yeah, he's having a little bit of a moment there, to say the least. It's good to see Dean Powell back on our screens as well, by the way, for Danny Lee Racing. And the man himself, Daniel Lee, is in the server somewhere. Where on earth is he? Where's he gone? I saw him putting a time in before.
Not out on track. He's down at the bottom on our timing software. He's in the Elite Class.
He's in the Elite Class and he's in the Ford. He will be out there. We have Will Soper out there on circuit with "Pardon me" and "Careful now" written all over the car. Don't know what the flipping heck that livery is all about, but hopefully nothing to do with... it's Conehead Racing. We're going to have a look at some more of these cars, because obviously there's new liveries and stuff for Ed and I to get used to. I've been tagged in a Instagram story about a Chapter X squad by Glenn Andre Christensen and a number of his teammates. They've got this lovely black and gold livery on the car. We've got Big Fast Racing, which is the driver of Jason Hodgson out there on the circuit. Quad Dash back again with their delightful liveries. Let's see what it looks like on the McLaren, shall we? Goodness me, that is mighty, mighty tasty. Oh, I'm not sure on the pink. I don't know if that pink looks right in the back. Bobby Trundley for Quartermass Motorsport. Quartermass, a team that I've seen in many, many series before. Longest team name in the series definitely goes to DDK by Eagle Speed Academy Esports. Jesus Christ, lads, chill out. They've even gone for lowercase E-Sports. Now, that's old school. Raz Harper behind the wheel there. I've raced with Raz before, actually, in other series. Who else have we got? It's great to see Viraco here as well, isn't it, Ed?
Oh, yeah.
The Belgian and Dutch drivers of Viraco Esports team. We used to commentate on these long, long ago in the Sim Racers World days. We've got another new team to us as well, ADX Racing Esports, Matteo Carbonari. Let's definitely line the puns up for him.
Beautiful.
That is a gorgeous livery, but we can certainly line the puns up for his name for further in the season. That is a stunning bit of kit. We've got the Inosis Esports car. That just looks like the standard Acura livery to me, though, at the moment for Ale Torres. Who else we got? RDSA back again. It's actually Fraser Smith for Conehead Racing that's fastest at the moment. So pardon me indeed. Fraser Smith, another name that we've commentated on before. Flipping out, there's so many great names. DXT Solar with Matt Hoyland behind the wheel in this very subtle Porsche. Any names that you recognise down there? Oh, Denzel Clarkson, by the way. It's great to see Denzel racing for Quad Dash Racing. He's actually...
Fretwell, he's there as well.
Yes, he is, absolutely. Fretwell up there. We've got Clarkson from Guyana. It's I'm quite... I don't know what the word is, particular with my flags, and I was really, really pleased with myself to notice and recognise the flag of Guyana. Marcel Breitenbach. He's clearly had a bit of a tough time over the pre-season because he's gone for the Corvette. I don't know why he's done that. That, again, though, is an absolutely gorgeous livery. He needs to sort the number boards out, but it's fine. Paul Cowlishaw is back in the Suma GP2 NSX. That is a mighty, pretty racing car.
Oh, yes.
MJK Sim Racing. I like that. I really like that. From Luke Van Gortel. Henning Haug for Chapter X. Chapter X livery looks great on the NSX. I really like that because it's just black, really, with a few bits of sort of tape on it by the look of it because of the X shape. LS Racing, Branko Kapovic. Another very shiny Porsche. MRC are back as well. Yeah. God, it's Rage Against the Game Esports.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw Ashley Brooks out on the circuit for a little bit in the MRC 496. There we go.
Oh, my lord.
Very nice.
I love an asymmetrical livery.
That does things to me, that does. Especially with the spec map, it's not full-on matte or chrome, it's nice sort of satin finish. You can see just as the light catches that green on that sort of left rear wheel arch.
Yeah.
Tasty.
That's absolutely gorgeous, Ash. absolutely, that's like annoyingly gorgeous. Like, I wish I could paint a car that well. But that, I mean, that's doing things to me. That is absolutely stunning, Ash. Good God, stop it, man. Racing League Hub for Alex Fretwell, a bit more of a simple livery by the look of it, but still effective. Tells you exactly what it is. K1 Esports, I like that as well. Really big fan of that. And a big fan as well of the championship sponsors. We must say big thank you to Keenan Eco Energy, to Kame, and to the GP2 Group, and of course the guys behind the scenes at the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship for having us back on board once again this season for the broadcasting duties. We have the very first rounds of the championship, of course, now, tonight. And we come back in January for Zolder, where we have a 1 hour race. Then Road America for 2 half-hour races. We go to Virginia for an hour. And then we go to Long Beach, Sebring, and that just takes us to the end of January. Then we have Circuit of the Americas, Imola, Mugello, and Bathurst. 2 half-hour races at Bathurst to end the season, Ed. That's going to be awesome fun, isn't it?
It really is going to be wonderful to see how these drivers get on as they tackle the mountain to round out the season. We do have the 2 30-minute races here tonight. Drivers getting a maximum of 50 points for a race victory here tonight. So we'll have to see if there are any drivers that will be able to get maximum from the evening. Those points are scored relative to their class position, not due to the overall position. So that is also a thing that we have to be aware of, isn't it, Chaz, on the broadcast, that drivers don't get points for battling in between the classes. They only really get the points for overtaking drivers that are within their bracket.
Yes, absolutely, and that's really important as well when it comes to the Teams Championship, because a lot of the time the drivers have had to only worry about people in different classes, so such as what we had in the GT4s when we were racing. You know, Ed, Ben and I were in the elite class, the three of us, but the drivers that we were racing against for the Teams Championship were all racing in the Evo class, so we couldn't actually sort of affect their results by battling with them directly. Here now, with the Teams Championship, you may see a little bit more of that, but they could be in completely different splits, so you never know where they're going to end up or who they're going to be fighting against. I'm really, really excited to see this season get underway. We've got lone qualifying coming up in just a moment's time, just a couple of minutes, but we have Chaz Brinkhuizen in the Mustang, and we can't not go on board with this thing, can we, Ed? What a dream.
Sounds majestic, really does. Listen it down in towards the old hairpin. And the downshifts as well.
It's just shouting everywhere, isn't it? It's like, I'm American.
Downshifting now.
That's what most of them are like, isn't it? It's just awesome. Awesome.
They're never subtle, are they?
No, it's like a grenade in your handbag. It's about that subtle. I like this. I don't know why. It's like a classic Porsche livery for Kevin Poon. The Veraco Esports Team Orange. There's nothing orange about it. But how cool is that? I think it does make me think about having a sort of a modern racing series where they only have like classic liveries, like you would just have a red Ferrari with maybe a yellow stripe down the middle and just a big circle with the number board on it. You know what I mean? Like that livery.
I was gonna say this.
It suits the Porsche 992 GT3R, but it would also suit a Mini.
Yeah, I mean the pink LED headlights sort of break the illusion a little bit.
You have to point them out, yeah, they do.
They break the illusion just a touch. If we shifted it just to all white, or even maybe sort of, you know, that sort of halogen, almost like yellowy glow.
Yeah.
On the older race cars, that could work as well.
There's the
to
Axis.
Chris Jennings, Axis Sim Sports, and you get a few Sim Sports and eSports. Sim Sports goes back as well, doesn't it? Actually, to the early days of iRacing team names.
Does indeed. Quite like that livery. I don't know what it is about it really. It's very shiny, but it's like a sort of, it's almost a pearlescent silver. It's that shiny. It's got a lot of gloss overcoat on it.
It's the stripe down the middle as well that helps break it out quite nicely.
Yeah.
Not just the one stripe, it's sort of the big main sort of dark stripe with the two little colour accents. This one's, well, very bright and in your face, but
Subtle.
I'm not too unhappy about it.
Not at all.
Could say I'm dead happy to see.
Oh, Christ on a bike. I don't have words to come back to that. Thomas Pugh.
Moving on.
I also want to give another shout out to Joe Glass, by the way, who is doing the broadcast over on the B Split. He's helped me a lot with the overlay in the last couple of days in getting things tidied up and set up. You'll notice if we go from this car to this car, the class colour at the bottom of your screen changes. We've got an update in terms of some of the fonts and the numbers and the layout of things. Joe has put in a massive amount of work in just fine-tuning the overlay that I've been using for the last season or two, and he's really been helping me out a lot. So thank you so much to Joe. Thank you to everybody, and we hope you're enjoying the show so far here on Chaz Draycott Media, because it's great to be back, and the action is now just about to get into full swing. We're going to have qualifying in just a moment, and you can see just how rubbered in the circuit is there, Ed. A massive amount of rubber at those hairpins, of course, but the drivers have to think about the debris refresh as well, don't they?
Yeah, we've actually seen drivers caught out by that, just a couple of days ago, didn't we, Chaz? It was sort of the first race we've had with the new debris system at Alton Park. And it was, I think it was Adam Watson, wasn't it, going down in towards, was it going through the Craner Curves?
No, through Cascades.
Through Cascades, sorry, Craner Curves was on this track, Cascades is on Alton. And it was just through Cascades, wasn't it, as he was turning through that left-hander, just offline a touch, and that was what sent him round into a spin. So we'll have to see if drivers suffer a similar fate around here. And it is a track which is very sort of one line. You can't try anything offline, going into sort of corners, braking zones, too off kilter with that debris system, adding a little bit more spice into the mix. That could really be a concern. Qualifying, it is a lone qualifying session, as it was last time we were here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Drivers have 15 minutes to put 4 times on the board, or go around for 4 laps. If they invalidate a lap time, they don't get extra goes at it, they only get those 4 laps. So drivers do need to be really careful to stay within track limits, and it's so easy to push hard and run a little bit wide because these corners are very high speed.
They really are. It's a real commitment circuit, is Donington Park. Hello to each of you that are in the chat at the moment. Lovely to see you all in there. Thank you for joining us. We look here at Fraser Smith. He was fastest in practice, and it's quite ironic, really, that he has a livery like that, because I remember Fraser being a nightmare in boring cars a few years ago. I'm only joking, Fraser. It's good to see you back on the screens, mate. He starts up his fast lap now. We were looking at Daniel Lee a moment ago, the wonderful content creator that he is. He'll probably be streaming tonight's racing as well. I know that when he raced in some of our previous championships, he also streamed those as well. He tends to sort of go from one season to the next. He always looks for the next challenge. But we'll have a look here at Fraser Smith and see how tidy his lap is, because practice sometimes, Ed, I'm not saying that Fraser's guilty of this, but we've seen it before, haven't we, where a driver is fastest in practice and, well, it's only because they've had an off track and they've cut the circuit somewhere and it allows it, whereas in qualifying you cannot get even a 0x, and you will be able to you won't be able to keep the lap time that you used it up on, let's say.
I'm feeling incredibly called out here, Chaz, because that's something I do almost all the time. I set blistering times in practice, and then just when it comes to qualifying, can't really match them. Even though I keep it within the lines in, or attempt to at least, in practice, I try not to set any invalid times, just so I know roughly where I am. I'm still just not able to qualify, but then again, that's more an indictment on my poor abilities as a qualifier rather than anything about these drivers. In the race, I tend to do a little bit better in terms of managing the race pace. I say that the last few times I've been racing on iRacing, the races haven't really gone that well, so maybe I should just stick to the comms box. Meanwhile, the action out on the circuit is about to get underway with Fraser Smith coming around for the end of his warm-up lap, and he's going to get started with the first flying lap of the session. Just so you, if you are joining us and you haven't seen GT3 racing on iRacing before, welcome. It's a great time, you're going to love it. But in qualifying, the best lap for these drivers tends to be around about lap 3 or 4. So the first couple of laps might not be the sort of the most representative, but it's still good to get a benchmark to see where the drivers are in relation to one another.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth getting one on the board as soon as you can, just to keep it nice and tidy. We look here at the very bright DDK Eagle Speed Academy Esports Porsche of Kevin Daniels. Apparently Belgian. Doesn't sound like that much of a Belgian name, but still crosses the line. And he goes 16th fastest at the moment. Stephen Donnelly is fastest in Premier with just 6 hunts. God, Chaz. 6/10 of a second off overall pole, which is Tristan Dinnebrega, and he is again another driver that we've very often seen up there, but we're used to seeing him in Porsches. Now he's in this glorious Acura, not quite a Honda NSX, And I don't know what it is about the back of it, but the back just looks really bulbous, doesn't it, with that huge splitter hanging out the back of it. The front looks really narrow and small, whereas the rear, well, it's just huge. As decides that he's done with that. Here's another name that we've not seen for a while on our screens. Tom Weston used to race in a number of championships that Ed and I worked on and commentated on. Now Tom is back in the big old Freedom machine, and he's racing for DDK by Eagle Speed Academy. Tom with an I rating of 2,665. Their classes are determined by their I rating, and Tom finds himself in the elite class. And then, of course, we have the pro class, as it would be actually, not premier, sorry. The premier guys will be in the other split, so I will rename that. I included all four classes in my profile, so to speak, in the information. So I've I've actually ended up putting the wrong one in everybody's details. So if you bear with me, everyone, I'll be back in a second. Ed can warble.
There we go. I can warble. And actually, just having a look up and down, something that we missed out earlier is the fact that while we do have 10 different manufacturers available to the drivers, one of them is conspicuously missing, and that is the BMW.
Good.
Now, great shame, because I absolutely love that thing. Chaz, meanwhile, will be laughing all the way till the bank because he absolutely hates that thing with a burning passion. As there's Simon Wareham currently out there, well, after a little bit of a spin, now getting up and rolling again.
Wondering where I'm going.
We
started.
Right, move on. Jazz, keep pushing the buttons. Go in the background. I can warble. Here we go.
We'll have to get our coats.
Jazz, this is. I mean, we don't have face cams just as well because I just hit the hardest face palm of my life. I've got a big indent on my face now because of it. Thank you very much, Chaz. Jack, what? We're not even going to. I'm not going to say about this one. Jack is currently out there now, and he's going to be putting his first time of this qualifying session onto the board. Is he? No, actually, just getting started with his first. So he'll be one of the last drivers to come through for his final flying lap, it seems. Just looking at the where the qualifying is at the moment. Tristan Dinabrega, top of the pile for RDSA Esports. How often have we said that before? Ale Torres right in behind him for Enosis Esports, a driver that we haven't seen before. Hopefully he's going to do well. Then Andrew Fairley, well, doing better than fairly good, isn't he? He's currently up there fighting for that front row, just a few thousandths off of second place. Ale Torres there, so a very good effort from him. Top three in the pro classes currently. Bobby Trundley, definitely not trundling along. He's going at a right rapid pace. Quartermass Motorsport, currently fastest of the bunch in the pro class. We've got Stephen Donnelly for JSD Racing Team just in behind him. Then Jason Hodgson there in third as well. Very close, isn't it, in these two classes right now?
Absolutely. It's great to see Tristan Engelstad as well back in another updated livery by Quad Dash on their Mercedes. Luke Van Gortel goes second quickest now overall for MJK Sim Racing A. How cool is this thing? I love the Quad Dash liveries. They've been evolving time and time again since we've been commentating on them, and they've just got such a classy look about them. There's a big fan club for Fraser Smith in the YouTube chat. He does improve, and he does identical times with Ale Torres in the NSX. But boy, it's close as hello. Kevin Poon goes fastest for Viraco Esports Team Orange, and the lap time is just about as classic as the livery. 1:25.9. First driver to go into the 25s during this qualifying session. Great effort that is. Any elite drivers left to go? Ryan Ottens hasn't put a time in yet in the Corvette. Sorry, the American Ferrari. And it looks like he still hasn't got one down, so he's got 2 laps to go.
Same with Jack Wyborn, actually. He went across the line but didn't set a lap time either. He is currently out of the running league pro driver with no times on the board thus far. Still 6.5 minutes to go in qualifying though. Swift drivers have got a little bit of time to go. They didn't go out right away. They should still have time to complete the laps that they are on. Ryan Woolsey currently last of the bunch at the moment in the elite class, but he's on a decent lap here. Looks to be improving across all sectors. At least I can see. Should be a decent effort for Ryan this time by. Some other drivers with all green across the board. David Wester should be improving up from 19th if that is about time. Only up into 17th place. Martin Kenyon goes up to 7th. Good to see Martin. Actually, I don't think we've seen Martin's livery for this season, have we? Might go to... Oh, actually, we won't because he's just pulled out into the pit lane. But we'll see him later on in the evening, that's for sure.
He'll change.
Yanis Albert as well. He's the driver that we haven't seen at all tonight, and he's just gone up into 12th.
I was going to say Martin will probably change cars 7 times this season in another GT3
He's
championship.
been your best friend, doesn't he, Chaz?
Yeah, in another GT3 championship that I run, Martin has changed cars a few times. Well, actually, no, he's changed once during the season, but he always says about which car's better and this, that, and the other, and he goes on and on about it. So we start to take the mick a little bit. Matt Hoyland saying, "Oh, it's good to have you two back." It's great to be back, Matt. Thank you so much, mate. It really is lovely to be here. Here's Kostek Solovic. And for the trackside racing team, well, he's definitely not trackside, goes 36th and 28th in class. Paul Cowlishaw decides that he's going to visit the museum. Don't have to pay to get in if you do that, apparently. David Wester, he's running in the Dutch Tricolor, which is lovely to see. The sim racing team Lowlands 2.
I love what he's done actually on the side of the car as well, on the STL livery. This sort of sponsorship, as you'll see it come around, it's almost a prismatic effect.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. David,
how has he done that?
Yeah, lob me the spec map, mate. I want to know how you do that. Like, I know my spec maps well, but jeezums, that looks very, very good. Skibo is very, very confident for Chapter X in this chat. He's saying that everybody else is competing for second place because Chapter X is here. Biggest fan or team manager? Either way, very, very confident in them. Simon Wareham crosses the line, improves by 1 position to 25th in class. He will find himself 53rd overall. Jack Wyborn, still no time on the board yet in the Ferrari. Could this be the one, Ed?
We'll have to see if this will be his first time on the board. Hitting that later apex. The first of the 2 hairpins towards the end of the lap. This final corner now. So tricky to get right. Some drivers like coming in early. Jack Wyborn, I think he's calling that last lap a bust and going for it this time because he really slowed it down to maximise the speed out of the corner. And this is last chance saloon for the MRC 495 driver Jack Wyborn. Here we go, on board with him I think he's the last driver out there currently attacking the track in anger for these final 3 minutes of qualifying.
Luke Lucchese is out on circuit as well, and so too Ryan Ottens, but not seeing anything new from them lap time wise yet as we ride on board with Jack Wyborn in the world's fastest Hoover, the Ferrari 296 GT3. You can see Ryan Ottens now starting a lap, hasn't improved on his first sector, up towards McLean's. Terrifying corner in any car. You're going down through the gears there. It's a late apex as well. You've got to be really careful in GT3s because as soon as you snatch the rear axle, the back end of the car will get away from you, up over Coppice. It's a blind apex for the drivers. We're a little bit higher up in the car, so we get to see the curve nice and early, and then down the straight you go. You're going over to the right-hand side here because we're doing the Grand Prix circuit instead of the National circuit, and then just as you get over this crest, you want to hit the brakes. It leans the car to the front very aggressively. Mind the little bollards either side, and mind the car hopping and skipping through the little crest that there is over that chicane. Again, over another top of a hill, hard onto the brakes. It feels like there's no grip whatsoever into that hairpin. It's an absolute nightmare. And then careful as you get on the power because it's easy to spin up the rears as you try and force the car back up the hill. Over to the right-hand side, another blind braking zone. You've got to just try and guess where the apex is, and it's almost a bit of a pointy hairpin, so you've got to just try and take the risks. That looks tidy from Jack Wyborn. He heads for the line in the Ferrari /Hoover, and it's going to put him 21st in class, 49th overall. Ottens just crosses the line, hasn't set a valid time. Luke Lucchese still out there as well, putting more laps in. Daniel Lee has decided to have another bite of the cherry as well in the Mustang, it seems. He's doing it for the viewers. But we'll keep an eye on Ryan Ottens, though, in this Corvette. It's been a car that has been at the front of another series that Ed and I cover. And it can be, it's a driver-dependent car, isn't it, Ed? It's one of those machines that if the right person gets behind the wheel and they understand it and work with it, they can make it an absolute missile. Otherwise, it seems like it's very on edge and it's very difficult to get a handle of.
Yeah, it's also, I think, very track dependent. I don't think it tends to enjoy a lot of elevation change. It's very sort of willing to go on you a moment's notice, like you say, very unsteady. So I think if you can get the setup right and the track suits it, then you're going to be having a great time. And it's going to be great into these corners here just because of how pointy it is. Just trying to balance it over those bumps would be a nightmare. And in towards these final couple of hairpins, You should be able to get the nose pitched in nicely. You can see the front of the car compressing under braking brilliantly, able to hug the apex brilliantly as well. It's just putting down the power. Still seems actually alright, doesn't seem to be struggling too much. I thought it might not be the most comfortable thing getting onto that loud pedal, but here we go. Ryan Otton's his final qualifying attempt as he makes his way through final corner, running a little bit wide. Hopefully that hasn't given an off track. Breaks the beam. Does he have a time? Yes, he does, and it's good enough for 9th place in class, right at the death. Ryan Ottens gets a time on the board. Luke Lucchese as well. Does he improve? Yes, he does. My goodness, all the way up into 4th, onto the front row right at the end.
Double champion Luke Lucchese doing an amazing job there. He's certainly the guy to beat sometimes in these things. And to be fair, when we commentated on seasons 4 and 5, we didn't really see him qualify on pole that much. It was more that he would just make the race work for him. And it's good to see that right now he has, of course, got qualifying under his belt with a decent result. But it's Kevin Poon that will take pole position for the first one of the season. Tristan Dinabrega will be in 2nd place with Luke Van Gortel and Luke Lucchese. No breaks, no messing about. Let's get straight into it. It's Kevin Poon on pole position with Tristan Dinabrega alongside him, as I just said. Luke Van Gortel makes his debut in 3rd place with Luke Lucchese alongside him on row 2. Ale Torres is 5th with Fraser Smith next to him. Andrew Fairley is 7th for ADX Esports. And then it's Raz Harper by the longest team name in the world. Thomas Pugh will start from 9th on the grid ahead of Ryan Ottens. Then Matteo Carbonari and Daniel Lee on row 6. Yannis Albert will start in 13th place. Good to see him back once again with Gilles Philipperts alongside him on row 7. Will Soper is next up in 15th with Chris Versteinen 16th. Gianni Terhar, another great name to see back once again for Quad Dash. He starts in 17th. Bobby Trundley for Quartermass, the fastest driver in the Pro class. Denzel Clarkson is next with Mike Fowler alongside him. He completes the top 20. Kevin Daniels is 21st ahead of Stephen Donnelly with Jason Hodgson, the American, and Dean Powell together on row 12. We then have Tom Weston and Luke King. He's Luke King for a better result. Haha, very funny. Tristan Engelstad is 27th alongside Matt Hoyland. Kaz Brinkhausen is 29th. Robert Baker, or Backer, it's actually Robert Backer, is in 30th place. And we have Chris Jennings, 31st. Paul Cowlishaw alongside him. It shows you the quality of the field, though, here, Ed, with Paul Cowlishaw down in 32nd place on the grid. He's normally a top 5 runner. Henning Hauger is in 33rd. Ryan Woolsey, 34th. We then have Martin Kenyon and Christopher Radloff alongside each other on the 18th row of the grid. Kostek Soloviec is 37th. Alex Fretwell, 38th. Lawrence van der Water is looking for a hydrating performance here in 39th, or refreshing one. Oh, get the joke right, Chaz. Jesus. Francois Brandet, well, he's looking for one. I'm not even going to make the joke. 40th. And then it's Eric Verlet in 41st. Marcel Breitenbach, 42nd. Then it's Peter Duke and Lauren Didapper on row 27. Alexander Dolby in 45th alongside David Wester. Ashley Brooks, 47th. Victor Van Zeist in 48th. We then have Jeff Hancock, Jack Wyborn, Liam Kelso, Branko Kapovic, Malcolm Coates, Glenn Andre Christensen, Simon Wareham, Nick Stubb, and Steve Axisa Farrell at the back of the grid.
Take a breath, Chaz. That was one heck of a grid to run through. Nearly 60 cars making their way behind the Porsche pace car before we get this race underway, and it is another Porsche actually just in behind it, isn't it? Kevin Poon, who we are on board with now, looking back at that chasing pack as we're about to get this first race of season 7 underway here at Donington Park. And what a venue it is to kick off a season, Chaz.
Yeah, great circuit, Donington Park, and like we've said, a very commitment circuit, a very high speed track. Looking forward to a lot of action here. I think this is going to be a great amount of fun. Holy frame rate, though, with a grid this big, so please do forgive us for the opening laps of this race. You will get them in 1080p, but you'll probably get them in about 15 frames per second, because we now have 10 different GT3 cars here on iRacing, making up a nearly 60 car field, and round 1 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship Season 7 is underway. That looked a little bit naughty by Ale Torres on the inside line, coming out of his queue to take second place, but we are underway down to turn 1 for the first time, and all of them trying to filter their way through cleanly. Nobody wants drama. Paul Cowlishaw has already jumped back to the pits. That's quite the effort. I think he might have had an issue getting going from the very start. There's some cars coming out of the pit lane. Henning Hauger is around, and Chapter X clearly going to win this race, as everyone else has said. Martin Kenyon has decided to go and visit the Spitfire sculpture on the inside of the circuit. He rejoins but it looks like everybody else is going to try and make their way down the hill as tidy as they can. Oh, there's contact. That's the 19 around. Car number 19 is around, and as you see here, Ed, well, I'm having CPU issues here with this many cars on screen, and it's completely understandable, really, isn't it, with that many on circuit at once?
Yeah, not what you want to see is the sort of drama that we've just seen towards the old hairpin. I think drivers just not really giving each other enough space when they were going side by side, and that was what was, I think, the real cause of that issue. Beautifully displayed livery of Matteo Carbonara is diving up the inside. Fraser Smith, steady on indeed. He's going to get them all through here, through Melbourne, then up towards Goddard's now. He's going to have the outside line. He's going to try and do all he can against Luke Van Gortel. Actually pushing him along and trying to find the gap through. Well, this is pretty much touring car style battle and bumping and barging in GT3 machines here at Donington. But the opening lap sees Kevin Pern, Ali Torres and Tristan Dinnebrega in the top three, but really aggressive. Fraser Smith, he wants to get through as quickly as possible because we know his pace is definitely there based on practice.
That was scary stuff, that there, for the poor Porsche of Luke Van Gortel. He was getting shoved and pushed from all angles. Raz Harper went a little bit late on the brakes into the hairpin. There's a car to our right here as we ride up over Thomas Pugh, and he's around in the Lamborghini. Hopefully doesn't come back on the circuit. Again, just as he goes off the track, that's what triggers a lot of these CPU issues. That's very strange, isn't it? It's like the particle effects or something, isn't it, that are just throwing that in the air. Very, very strange. I will get that figured out, everybody, so you might have to bear with me a minute here while we get that sorted, but hopefully it stabilises itself. Goodness me. Kevin Pone leads the way, though, in the Porsche, and he's kept it tidy for now with Ali Therese right behind him, Ed.
Yeah, Ali Therese really close behind his opening few laps. He doesn't want to let Kevin get out of sight, and just by able to stay with him in these opening sort of 3 or so laps, this is going to be the end of the second lap. If you can just stick with him, then it should be in for a great race, because Kevin is going to know he can't afford to let up one little bit. Porsche, though, is going to be doing so well through here. The acceleration of that Porsche is just unmatched. There's nothing that can really hold a candle to it. So through those slow hairpins, able to put the power down. He's breaking away just a touch from LA, but then the Acura seemingly better in these sort of more medium to high speed corners, really able to bring that gap back down. So we'll see how it changes over the course of the race, but for now Kevin having a great time with things, just off the back of a brilliant start to the race, able to keep himself out of trouble. It was Tristan Dinnebrega actually dropped back a place, Luke Van Gortel dropping back 2. I think it was Luke actually at the start that just struggled to get going, didn't quite anticipate the jump that Kevin had off the line, and that was what probably caused Ali Therese to make that evasive manoeuvre onto the grass at the sort of very start of the race.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a messy one in the mid-pack with a bit of contact here and there, but everybody tries to avoid everybody so much that it's easy to have contact and run into each other. If you all just bear with me 1 second, we're going to go to Radio Ed May just while I just quickly fix a few settings here, because the CPU is going absolutely balmy at this end, so you'll have to just bear with me for a second, because we have a few things to change here is all I have to say, basically.
Yeah, just seen, here we go, Tristan Engelstad get overtaken by Matt Hoyland. It's definitely the battle of the bright pink cars, isn't it? We've got the bright pink Porsche with these more subtly pink Tristan Engelstad coming through on the inside. Actually, there is Chaz Draycott for Veraco Team Esports Orange. Great little move up the inside with the Ford, but not able to hang it around the outside through that final corner. Luke Van Gortel, meanwhile, will come to him, and he's actually lost another place to, this is Fraser Smith actually for Conehead Racing, so Fraser was able to get that move made. Then up the inside again we come to that battle. Tristan Engelstad getting overtaken by Chaz once more, and this time the move is being made. Action plenty down at that final corner. What's happened there? There's Steve Farrell facing the wrong way. Is that the flag of Malta there, Chaz?
Yes, there is a Maltese driver in the split somewhere. We will try and find
Farrell,
them.
is it?
Yes, we will try and find them. I'm still having issues though, unfortunately, everyone. As you'll see, you can hear it blinking around a bit here. I'm just trying to do my best to fix this and at least bring it back to a reasonable level where we don't obviously have so many issues. So if you bear with me, I will get it sorted.
Mate. Bobby Trundley continue to lead in the pro class. Stephen Donnelly in third. And then we have Hodgson there in... there's action pending ours. What's that? I think I see a cloud of smoke being kicked up out of the exit of the chicane. It all seems fine for now, though. Maybe just drivers running a little bit wide. Oh, word, it's difficult to see where you're looking. Andrew Fairley, I think, is fancying a move up the inside. No real thing made or completed. Alex Fretwell, though, he's going to have the inside line against the Lamborghini of Ryan Woolsey. And I think you should be able to complete that overtake through the final corner. Matteo Carbonari now up into 7th place, up 4 places actually since the start of the race. Yannis Albert, another driver who's made some great headway, up 5 places since the very start. So Yannis sees himself up into 8th place in the elites class. Coming down into, well, a mad mid-pack battling everywhere we look. Denzel Clarkson of Quad Dash Racing currently occupying the 18th spot in the elite class. It's got Jason Hodgson company in behind. That is not a battle for sort of overall position in class, just in terms of on-track position.
It's Bobby Trundley that's leading the way in the pro class at the moment, doing a wonderful job. Sorry about the issues, everybody, but I'm trying to sort it. But with over 50, nearly 60 cars and 10 different GT3 cars as well, and all the particle effects in iRacing has these days, it's a definite sign that my PC these days is going to start to struggle. Not just from the graphics perspective seems fine, but it's more just the computing aspect with the CPU that is having the trouble with it. So I do apologise greatly for that. Thank you very much for your patience while we got it sorted. We look here at Raz Harper and the Lamborghini, trying to just hold on to pure positions here, Ed. So many drivers still around to try and steal those positions away now.
Yeah, Raz Harper, as we can see just from the tail end shot, Matteo Carbonari definitely getting closer and closer over the last couple of laps. Matteo was a couple of tenths faster on that last time around, so he's definitely got plenty of pace to burn. We're seeing drivers that have made the most places up in their respective classes since the start of the race. Chris Steinen, Draco Esports Team Orange, the Ford, has made 6 places in class. Kostek, now I'm going to try and pronounce this right. I know you did a great job of it, Chaz. I've completely forgotten. Solovage? Kostek Solovage?
Kostok, I think it's Soloviesh.
Soloviesh.
Or Soloviesh. I think it is. But yes. Kostek.
Trackside Racing Team up 7 places in his class. So not having a bad time of things whatsoever since the very start. So they're right in that little mid-pack battle.
Yeah, and the car we just looked at for a moment there, Glenn Andre Christensen for Chapter X, which I'm sure Skibo will appreciate, has actually made the most places up in their class. Liam Kelso is now involved in a battle here, or has been overtaken by Branko Kapovic. I think there was a slowdown penalty involved there, unfortunately. But back at the very front of the field, Kevin Poon continues to lead this race. Car 103 for Viraco Esports Team Orange, doing an outstanding job at the front of the order. And to be fair, Ale Toriz, despite the questionable start, has actually gained a bunch of positions since and is doing a wonderful job at holding on to them.
Yeah, having a great time of things, as you can see, for Ale Toriz. Say though, it might be looked at from that start, isn't it? Because I know the rulebook does say there's no racing in your column, but to be fair to him, it was more of an evasive manoeuvre. He had to get onto the grass to avoid Luke Van Gortel. So we'll have to see what he'll say to the stewards, what Luke might say to the stewards in turn, and see what comes of it after this, the first round of the season. But for the moment, he's having a great time of things and just keeping touch with Kevin Punt and actually breaking away from Tristan de Nebrega, which is a feat that we've not seen many drivers be able to achieve over the last couple of seasons that we've been able to broadcast, Chaz.
No, definitely not. It's certainly not something that's easy to do, is break away from the likes of Tristan de Nebrega, so hats off to him. We ride on board now with Matteo Carbonari, right behind the Lamborghini of Raz Harper. Luke Van Gortel just ahead. This is the group that stayed closest in amongst the elite class up to now. We're a third of the way through this race. These guys are taking it nice and steady. I think it's about banking early championship points at this stage, Ed. You don't want to get in too many battles, really, do you? Because it can very easily just go overboard, and straight away you end up on the back foot trying to regain spots and recuperate as the championship goes on.
Yeah, it's been great to see just how the championship is already shaping up to be very close. I'm just watching, though, just looking through the sort of rule book just to see exactly what was mentioned about the start procedure, Chaz, because I think we're getting into a point now where we can maybe have a look back at what was in the very opening moment in towards turn 1.
I'm going to try to. We're going to scroll back through, and we will have a quick ganders. There's a lot of overtaking before the green flag, so bear with me. Let's see Luke van Gortel here and see what happens to the Porsche on that right-hand side. You can see, look. Well, to be fair, Ale just goes when the leader goes. Everybody else is still... Ooh, a little bit of a touch there as well. Fraser going left and then right. And then behind, there's some of the dramas where Martin Kenyon and the likes. So Martin's in the Lamborghini. Down the inside of the McLaren. Side by side. Oh, there's the contact in front. He has to get on the grass to avoid it. And it was the Ferrari that went around as well.
Yeah, see, it does say that all drivers must go on the iRacing green instruction, only start to accelerate when the driver in front does so. It doesn't necessarily driver directly in the front, just the driver in front. It does say that no overtaking columns before the start line. I don't think he's fully ahead before the start-finish line. It's difficult to make that one out. I think the stewards are going to have to examine that one potentially.
Engelstad's been headbutted and then headbutted even harder by Woolsey, unfortunately. Big contact between those two. And yeah, it really doesn't like particles, does it?
No, that's
as soon as the car goes off, as soon as the car goes off the circuit, the particles just, kick off and that's it. But unfortunately, there's not a massive amount we can do about that. We can mess about with the graphics and all sorts and obviously turn a lot of that down, but the particles and so on are more calculated by iRacing. It's a bit more mandatory for it to calculate things like that, I'm afraid, everyone. So there will be some tweaking going on during the break, and potentially, if it gets worse again, later on in this race. But thank you very much for your patience. We don't want to spend the whole broadcast apologising, but it does matter to us that we put on the best stream that we possibly can, and we hope you're enjoying the show regardless, and you know that obviously it's not our choice for it to be so intensive, but still, we have a massive grid of cars here, Ed. 57 cars, like we've said, 10 different GT3 cars, and that's something that sometimes people don't quite understand, that it has to load in 10 different cars, which is why it's always been something that iRacing increase as computers and PCs get better and better. They only used to sort of manage 5 different cars, didn't they? 5 or 6 in a server, because there's so much load in calculating each of those different models. There could be as many of them as you want. As long as there's just one of them on the circuit, it has to load it, and it can cause problems. I mean, we've only got 9 of them because there's no BMWs here, but even still, it's very intense with this many on the track.
I mean, how old is the engine that this game is running on as
2008.
well? 2008, so it's getting a bit long in the tooth, so you can understand how they've been able to sort of try and cobble it together from all that old sort of baseline. They've done a really great job to be able to achieve that feat. Like you say, I think the processing power that's demanded from iRacing is only going to be getting higher and higher just to load all of those different car models, and especially the detail that iRacing loads and renders the cars is the reason why it is the very best, I think, bit of sim software, at least from a broadcaster's perspective, because you can see the way the cars all react and bump around. You don't get that classic sort of netcode slide that you'd get on certain other sims, Assetto Corsa. So it is really great to have that here on iRacing, that you can understand why it then has that knock-on effect on the CPU, because they're having to process it, all of the sort of the way the cars are bumping around, all of the physics simulations.
Yeah, definitely. It's great because from commentating on real world stuff, I can tell you that the cars behave the same way, and you can pick up on what the car is doing. You can see from the outside whether it is affected by a curb, whether it's getting slightly sideways, what the driver is doing as well behind the wheel, and what they're doing to sort of combat any movement. It's really, really cool to see that here on iRacing, you know, I apply the same method of commentary to sim racing stuff as I do to the real world stuff. As this is Eric Verlet going around in the Veraco Mustang. As soon as he goes on that grass, I get terrified. My frame rate's going to go to death, so I'm just going to cut away. But right now, Gianni Terhar, who is a driver that we've seen many a time on the channel, is right behind Bobby Trundley, and he's looking down the inside. Bobby leading in the pro class right now, so he doesn't want to spoil that for him. As, oh dear, Will Soper has had a spin, and he needs to be careful with his rejoin. Good stuff. The Conehead racing car, very easy to spot, isn't it, to say the least?
Yeah, definitely, and as is actually the car that Gianni Terhar has just overtaken, Bobby Trundley, the driver that's currently leading for Quartermaster Motorsport. And Bobby's had a good little buffer of a few elite class cars between himself and Stephen Donnelly in second place, but now there is just clear road in between Bobby and Stephen, so we'll have to see who's going to come out on top in these final 13.5 minutes. If Bobby's able just to hang on to the back end of Gianni, using as a bit of a marker, a bit of slipstream assistance, then should be good till the end of the race. But Stephen now closing in, can really see an opportunity to get that first race victory of the season under his belt. This is Glenn Andrew Christensen just earlier for Chapter X.
Yeah, he's had a drama there with Martin Kenyon. Let's have a look here. Martin looks down the inside, tries it into the chicane, and the two will not fit through there. A little bit unnecessary for Martin, I think. He does well to roll out of the way and let the car sort of naturally move away, but I don't think that the move was really going to work there. You're just going to compromise yourself so much down the inside, and if you get the run, yeah, fair enough, but I don't know many people that wouldn't back out of that there.
Yeah, especially when you see the speeds that these drivers take going through that chicane. It's not really a slow speed chicane where you can chuck up the inside as well. Raz Harper, I think, gets a little bit too eager on the throttle, but has to be careful to not rejoin unsafely, doing the right thing there and backing up to try and give himself as much space as possible to get that car turned around and facing the right way. But you just have to wait an age, especially in this championship with as close as the cars are together. All getting up and running, staying over to the right hand side, keeping predictable. So the textbook way to rejoin a race safely, even if it has cost him a whole lot of positions and time.
On board here with Matteo Carbonari, or we were, with Fraser Smith just behind, and then Yanis Albert in the RDSA NSX. It's good to see Yanis and RDSA teaming up. They battled so hard together over the last couple of seasons. It's lovely to see the pair of them together on circuit. Obviously, Ed and I weren't fully in tune with last season. We weren't required on duty as such, and we had other commitments elsewhere, so we weren't able to follow the championship as closely. But to come back into it and to see these teams sort of bringing on drivers that they once battled with is really, really cool. As down the inside goes Fraser Smith on Carbonari. The Mercedes leaves plenty of room. Maybe not as much on the exit, though, as the two of them get together. You don't need to squeeze him to the right. You're not going to gain anything, Matteo. You're not going to gain anything by doing that. That was nearly naughty. Very, very close between the two. Fraser's going to try and use the run around the outside. I think he's just about kept the overlap there as they cross the line. But just behind them, Yanis Albert and Chris Verstainen are going to get the best view of this. Fraser back down the inside. No, fakes it. Doesn't make it work this time. Matteo continues to hold on.
Yeah, fakes it once, then almost fakes it again as he looks up the inside. You can see as well, just up and down the field, running out the top 10 actually of the elite class. Danny Lee, good to have him back on our screens. He's got a little bit of company though in behind, doesn't he? Is Fowler just right up there, and he's not far at all, that Quad Dash Racing McLaren. But this is brilliant, isn't it? Fraser nearly pushing Matteo Carbonari around. Now he's going to go for it, isn't he? Right up the crest of the hill. Now again, backs out of it. I think he's just trying to compromise Matteo more than anything else. But in that same breath, he's going to find himself under pressure from Yanis Albert. And Yanis, if he can smell a move, he's going to go for it almost all the time. Once more, through this chicane, the speed they take through, it's not really worth just chucking it up the inside. You've got to try and unsettle the car ahead and then try it in towards the Melbourne hairpin now, which we're seeing just up ahead. Carbonari once more trying to cover that inside, going defensive. And then with that brilliant exit, you should be safe for another lap, because that was really great how that car was just able to pick up and go on the exit of the Melbourne hairpin.
Yeah, he's doing really well here as Carbonari to hold on. And all this time, they're not really losing the cars ahead here. That's Luke van Gortel, the next machine just up the road. You can see them flashing the lights away there at the car coming out of the pit lane. I think that's Ryan Ottens. Apologies again for the blinking, everybody. Nothing I can do at this stage. We're just going to have to stick with it until the end of the race. But that was really fair stuff from Fraser Smith. That he could have made that a lot more aggressive. But you know what? He did a really solid job of putting pressure on and not being over the top with it. It was really, really good to see that, and lovely respect between the two. We go back to Dean Powell a little bit further down the pack. Stephen Donnelly is just behind him. Then he's got Kevin Daniels, Denzel Clarkson and Luke King all in there as well. Mad to see Luke King down there in 19th place, 17th in class. Again, another driver that's a regular front runner in previous seasons gone by. Just shows you the incredible level that this category is now at.
It's just, like I say, getting stronger and stronger every single season as well. Luke King, not sure if he necessarily has just had the best qualifying. He did actually have to gain 6 places to be where he is now, so he's just had to really fight back up through the field as well. Though one thing to note is that we do have a reverse 18 for the second race of the evening. Luke King currently sitting 19th overall, just outside. It's currently being held by Denzel Clarkson up ahead. Quad Dash Racing. There's quite a lot to fight for here in terms of Luke King. Is saying 17th, but that is just basically the... Oh, is he diving up for the inside? He's going for it. Wow, if he's able to get this stuck on the exit, that would be brilliant stuff. The Porsche again, just picking up the power beautifully. He's nearly got the full overlap. He does.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Absolutely brilliant that by Luke King. Really, really solid stuff. If you bear with me a second, everybody, I'm just going to reset my my timing software for just a second. So it will hopefully help a little bit, but I don't know if it will do, because I mean it's just the sim itself that's having the CPU issue at the moment. I don't want to keep going on and on and on about it, but at the end of the day, it's obviously something that I know you can all see, and I want to make sure that we can fix it where possible. But Luke King right now making a fantastic move to get past the Ferrari of Denzel Clarkson. Hats off to Denzel as well, though. We gave him a lot of space on the exit. But wow, look at all the gravel and stuff being kicked up there, Ed. Someone's clearly been off the road. That's not the place to do it. Excuse me one second, everybody. I'm just going to try and fix this, because I can't deal with this.
There we go then towards the final 7 minutes of running. Kevin Pern leading from Alex Rees, and Tristan Dinabrega rounding out the top 3 in the elite class. The pro class, it continues to be Bobby Trundley ahead of Stephen Donnelly and Matt Hoyland, this driver we're watching on screen now for DXT Solar in that beautiful Monster Energy inspired livery, right in behind Denzel Clarkson and Luke King. Matt looking just to the outside of Denzel, trying to find a way through. No real way past though, and then there's a roadblock of 2 Porsches going side by side in towards turn 1. That I believe is Stephen Donnelly on the inside, and then around the outside that's Dean Powell, I think. No, that isn't, sorry, Dean Powell, that's Kevin Daniels. I think it is, yes, Dean Powell that was able to get through ahead. Been hanging on to 15th overall, 14th in class. Stephen Donnelly for GT Racing team. There we go now at Hoyland. DXT Solar, he can sense that Luke King is going to be struggling as Luke King actually drops back in behind Denzel Clarkson, just ran a little bit wide off the circuit through the old hairpin. Gets overtaken not just by Denzel Clarkson, but also that chasing Luke King. Stephen Donnelly drops back in behind Kevin Daniels as well, so Kevin's been able to make that move stick. Finally, the Belgian driver up into 16th overall, holding that 15th place in class for the moment and trying to chase down Dean Powell. Hopefully, Chaz, we've been able to tweak some graphics and we're back on for the final 5.
Hopefully. I've done what I can do, everybody, so I do apologise if there are any issues from here. We will have a look at it during the break and we'll see what we can do from there. I think the latest addition to iRacing's particle system, with all the new sort of smoke and everything and all the debris refresh and so on at the side of the circuit, yeah, it's still doing it. Every time it sort of has anything to do with that and renders a lot of particles in, it just kills it. It really does kill it. It uses a lot of CPU, and I mean, we've got nearly 60 cars here, 10 different GT3s. We don't usually broadcast series of this size, so we'll find a workaround. But I've turned how many cars it's drawn down, and we'll have to wait and see. So apologies, but that's the last time we're going to mention it.
There we go. Yanis Albert. Well, he is in the Acura. He's got almost that Mustang sort of logo on the side, doesn't he? The racing spirit for RDSA. There's going to be plenty of that spirit to get through ahead of Matteo Carbonari. And that wonderful gravelly sound of the AMG Mercedes. This was Fraser Smith making the move on Matteo while we were just changing a few things. It was down into Melbourne. It stopped nicely up on the inside, and then the Porsche, even with the steering lock he's putting on, he's able to just get the drive out. Cuts across the nose. I mean, he at least has the overlap, but that is still, I think, authoritative. To be kind, as Yanis has actually just gotten ahead of Matteo Carbonari.
I'm going to be brutal. I don't get that. I don't get what that does, and I see that as risky. Yeah, sure, you've had the call out for it being clear, but yeah, I don't know why you'd need to cut across like that. Sure, he wants to get to the inside again, but I don't see the point. I don't see the point. I joked, earlier about Fraser and previous series and so on, but like there are drivers that we see doing things like that, and you just think, why? I mean, some people are not bothered. I see that, and I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry.
It's very it's an aggressive move that I think is more sending a message rather than a defensive manoeuvre.
Yeah,
one
for sure.
That tells the driver in behind you, I'm holding this now, try and find another way. But you could quite easily just, gradually make your way over to that side of the circuit without risking the contact, because you've got the drive out of the corner regardless. You've got the call clear. Having that sort of chopping motion in the steering wheel it's a unnecessary risk, and as Nicky Ladd would say, it's always about minimising risk.
Oh, like
no
that.
Incentive, as Andrew Fairley just getting a little bit too close, and that was with Christopher Radloff, who is, as a result, off the circuit. So Andrew, is he fair in this one?
He hits the side of the Corvette fairly hard. He tries to get it stopped down the inside. To be fair, that's 50-50, I think. I don't think Christopher Radloff doesn't leave a huge amount of space on the inside, but Andrew didn't need to sort of try and get back at him so suddenly and so, not aggressively, but he didn't need to send the message again that quickly, I don't think. Retaliation. He didn't need to retaliate that quickly.
Yeah, it's just a case, though, the driver's just chasing and fighting hard in these final few moments. Denzel Clarkson, car just up ahead of Luke King in the 18th place, holding on to the reverse grid pole position. That'd be a great turn up for him, isn't it? His first time, at least on the Chaz Draycott Media channel. Not sure if he was here last season as well. He's going to be really hoping for that reverse grid for the second race here tonight.
Oh, steady.
It says 16th on the bottom, but that is again the position he finds himself in the elite class. There are two pro drivers just up ahead of them. One of them, Stephen Donnelly, he's just been able to, actually no, that wasn't Stephen Donnelly who was overtaking, sorry, my mistake. Stephen Donnelly's in the sort of green Haribo JSD livery machine.
As they often are, JSD, great to have them back once again for this season. Stephen Donnelly, a regular front runner in his class. He's always been very, very quick. He's currently trying to chase down Kevin Daniels in the DDK Porsche as Fraser Smith and Luke Van Gortel off the road. A little bit of shenanigans going on here as Luke comes back on. Fraser seemingly didn't want to give him the room, and Fraser has to go into the pits. I wonder whether that is the incident limit. 17 incidents, yes.
We just both on the same page there, both making sure that we'd read the rule, but yeah, 17 incidents before the drivers have a drive-through penalty, then it's 22 before a disqualification. Let's have a look where all of that came. Just on the exit.
I mean, Fraser didn't leave any room.
Fraser didn't really leave any room because, I mean, the Porsche can't just vanish.
I don't know where he was. Where did he want him to go?
Luke can do apart from just, vanish into thin air.
He goes deep. Fraser gets a fantastic cutback, but then he just drives.
Yeah, there's
a bit of netcode. There's a bit of netcode, granted, but you have to be prepared to compensate for netcode, and Fraser didn't.
And you know me, Chaz, I'm the last person that wants to call out drivers. And
I know,
we
yeah.
don't like being anything here.
Normally we argue
everyone
over it because I'm dead brutal and you're really nice to
I'm dead nice, but even on that occasion, I do have to think that it's just, at that point, if you know you're on the verge of a drive-through as well, it's just...
No point.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, what does make sense is that Kevin Poon takes the first win of the season here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Ale Torres finishes in second. Tristan Dinabrega completes the podium. Very well done to all three drivers there. And Luke Lucchese, Luke Van Gortel, Yanis Albert, Matteo Carbonari and Chris Versteinen. Daniel Lee gets a top 10. Mike Fowler continue on. And it's going to be Bobby Trundley that's going to come around the final corner here, Ed, and win in the Pro class. What a drive that is for him.
Brilliant drive, isn't it, for Bobby Trundley in that Pro class. Able to get a couple of cars between himself and Stephen Donnelly, who was what helped him secure the victory. Stephen had a great little tussle actually in those dying few moments with Kevin Daniels, and while the drivers aren't necessarily incentivised to battle between the two classes, it's still not forbidden, which is great to see. And up in that 18th place, it was Denzel Clarkson for Quad Dash Racing who managed to come across the line and take reverse grid pole position. Yusuf Radloff, he's kept going after his setback earlier, currently 13th in class, and that's going to be where he finishes the race tonight. First time out for Christoph this season. Not really the result that he would have been hoping for. Definitely could have gotten a little bit more out of this race, but he's got a second bite of the cherry in about 5 minutes' time.
He absolutely does. And all the drivers, I'm sure, will have enjoyed that very first race of the season. See, look how nice it is when there's less cars on track. Oh, it's so smooth. It's so beautiful. I'm so sorry for the issues, everyone. I said I wasn't going to apologise again, but we want to put on the best show that we can. And, you know, it matters to us. And, I mean, my PC is showing more and more signs every day that it is starting to lag behind. But in the break here, we will just take a quick moment or two to try and reset a few things. We'll go to some adverts and then we'll come back to you in just a few moments' time with the results from round number 1 of Season 7 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been bumped and it's ready to go out. Ben Gregory now, I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for rounds 1 and 2 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship Season 7 Split A. This season has become that popular and that large that we have 2 splits over the course of this championship, Split A and Split B. We have the Elite and Pro drivers in this class. Then we have Premier and Evo over on the B split. Our good friend Joe Glass is broadcasting that over on the Evolution Sim Racing GT channel. And Ed and I are back in the box for Donington Park, the first races of the season. It was very, very busy, Ed, as we... Oh, excuse me, have to get the the class results up. Kevin Poon takes his first win of the season ahead of Ale Torres, Tristan Dinabrega and Luke Lucchese, with Luke van Gortel in the top 5. Then it's Yanis Albert, Matteo Carbonari, Chris Versteinen, Daniel Lee and Mike Fowler completing the top 10. Gilles Philipparts is 11th ahead of Gianni Terhar, Dean Powell 13th ahead of Kevin Daniels and Fraser Smith dropping down after his earlier penalty, and then Denzel Clarkson, Luke King and Kaz Brinkhausen. Behind them we had Robert Bakker, Will Soper and Kostek Soloviej. And then we had Raz Harper and Ryan Woolsey, both of them having issues in their Lamborghinis. Thomas Pugh and Andrew Fairley next up, with Henning Hauger in 26th, a lap down. Paul Cowlishaw 5 laps down, and Ryan Ottens not completing the race. Neither did Tom Weston. And Ed, why don't you take it away with the pro standings?
Thank you very much. And yes, it was Bobby Trundley who took a commanding race victory ahead of Stephen Donnelly, who had some great little battles in the mid-pack. Jason Hodgson there rounding out the top 3, the podium finisher for Big Fast Racing. And a very good race indeed. Matt Hoyland in 4th with Alex Fretwell completing your top 5, with Chris Jennings, David Wester, Marcel Breitenbach, Lawrence Dedapper and Lawrence van der Voorten there in 10th place. Eric Verley in 11th ahead of Branko Kapovic, with Christopher Radloff, Jack Wyborn, Peter Duke, Malcolm Coates, Tristan Engelstad and Alexa Druby there in 19th place. Francois Brandet finishing in 19th place, with the top 20 completed by Liam Kelso. Then we come to Nick Stubb with Simon Wareham in 22nd, Jeff Hancox, Ashley Brooks and Glenn Andrew Christensen finishing the race there. Just Glenn 2 laps down did Glenn. Steve Exisa Farrell 4 laps down, and Victor Van Zeist 5 laps down, with Martin Kenyon not completing that race. Now though, we've timed that perfectly, Chaz, because warm-up is just coming to an end and we're going to get started with the second race of the evening. And well, hopefully it'll be a little bit cleaner than the first one, it's fair to say. Hopefully the frame rate will sort itself out again. Apologies to everyone, we'd like to be as on it as we can be, but Chaz, take it away with the grid for round 2 of the championship.
So the top 18 reversed for this one then. Denzel Clarkson on pole position from Guyana. Fraser Smith alongside him. Potential for a race win here from Fraser. We know he's got the pace. Stephen Donnelly next up with Kevin Daniels alongside him. Then just rattling through these now. It's Dean Powell, Bobby Trundley, Gianni Terhar, Gilles Philipparts, Mike Fowler, Daniel Lee, Chris Versteinen and Matteo Carbonari, Yanis Albert, Luke van Gortel, Luke Lucchese, Tristan Dinabrega, Ale Torres, Kevin Poon, Luke King, Kaz Brinkhausen, Robert Bakker, Jason Hodgson, Matt Hoyland, Will Soper, Kostek Soloviej, Alex Fretwell, Raz Harper, Ryan Woolsey, Thomas Pugh, Chris Jennings, David Wester, Marcel Breitenbach, Lauren Dedapper, Andrew Fairley, Lawrence van der Voorten and Eric Verlee. Oh no, I clicked the wrong button. Oh, Chaz made a fool of himself. I'm so sorry, everyone. I was going so well. I was so proud of myself. Eric Verlee next door. Branko Kapovic, Christopher Radloff, Jack Wyborn, Peter Duke, Malcolm Coates, Tristan Engelstad, Alexa Dulby, Francois Brandet, Liam Kelso, Nick Stubbs, Simon Wareham, Jeff Hancox, Ashley Brooks, Hennis Hauger, Glenn Andre Christensen, Steve Axis Farrell, Victor Van Zeist, Paul Cowlishaw, Martin Kenyon, Ryan Ottens and Tom Weston. I tried, Ed.
We got there, don't you worry, Chaz. Do not worry. These things can happen, and I think, to be fair, it's been a very good broadcast, all things considered. Hopefully, it carries on that way until the very end, and Denzel Clarkson will be hoping that his race will carry on in a good trajectory, as he is on pole position for this, the second race of the evening. You can see the Porsche safety car just up ahead of him, and then he's got plenty of Porsches in behind. Fraser Smith, who we saw his pace and his aggression, he's going to be really hungry for the his first race victory of the season. Stephen Donnelly right there as well. Brilliant drive from him in the pro class. And Kevin Daniels right there as well. Here we go, Chaz, take it away.
Round 2 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship Season 7 gets underway. It may be under dazzle camouflage, but it gets underway all the same, and it is Fraser Smith in second position, slotting in behind Denzel Clarkson, then Stephen Donnelly, Kevin Daniels, Dean Powell, Bobby Trundley and Gilles Philipparts in the thick of it as well, as they head down towards the Craner Curves for the first time. Chris Versteinen, well, he's still blinking in and out like mad at this present moment. There's a car around, there's a car off, and it's Gianni Terha. Gianni off and into the barriers, and he hits the end of the tyre wall. That is going to feel absolutely horrific in there, and that car is going to be very, very badly damaged, unfortunately. It's not gone well for Gianni at the start of this one, and it's not gone well for any of us at the start of this one by the look of it. Fraser Smith, the only one where it seems like he's actually having a bit of a smooth ride of this, to be honest with me, Ed.
Yeah, Fraser Smith having a great time of things. Denzel Clarkson as well, getting away very nicely at the very start. As who's that off the road? That is Gilles Philipparts for DDK Eagle Speed Academy, the very long team name. Currently off a long way off the circuit. I think he's been able to get up and running now, though. But just dropping back so many places. Fraser Smith now chasing down Denzel Clarkson, really extending the run out of the Melbourne hairpin, now in towards the final corner. Just has to use the Porsche's great acceleration to great effect as he runs a little bit wide once more, kicking up some grass and dirt. Hopefully Chaz's PC is able to, you know, hang on just about. It seems to be all fine. I'm not sure if you can report on that, Chaz, but
no, you can't see what I can see.
Okay, well, fair enough. It is Donington Park is a circuit where so many drivers are going to be more likely off of the circuit kicking up grass, so it's understandable why it's going to be struggling just a touch. But for now, Denzel Clarkson, Fraser Smith, that's it, nose to tail. Denzel Clarkson, he's trying to make that Ferrari as wide as it possibly can be, and it's been not necessarily as wide as that Porsche, but I think you can see the Porsche, very low looking car, but also quite thick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a chunky boy. It is a chunky boy. I'm sorry, everyone. I've just brought the graphic up for just a second here, just while we sort some of this out, because it's just down to the drawing of how many cars there are. I need to somehow draw this down. But Ed has got an update.
Just gotten through into the lead of the race. Denzel Clarkson just got held up a little bit on the exit of that corner as we shifted away onto that graphic, and then in towards the chicane. It was just too far alongside for Denzel Clarkson to do anything about defence. Now he has to instead shift his focus to Stephen Donnelly. Stephen not in his class. Stephen is in the pro class and leading the way very brilliantly from Bobby Trundley. So doesn't have any incentive really to Stephen to make a move. Stephen Powell for Danny Lee Racing has seemingly had a moment and is dropping back down the order. Need to have a look and see exactly what has gone on there at a later date. For now though, still going on brilliantly for his teammate Danny Lee, actually up 5 places from the start is Danny, so he's had a great start to the race and can potentially chase down class podium. He's in 4th at the moment. He's got Kevin Daniels and Denzel Clarkson up ahead, with Fraser Smith leading the way. Then in towards the pro class, like we mentioned, Stephen Donnelly ahead of Bobby Trundley. They've got quite a few cars between them, so Stephen has a nice buffer. Bobby as well himself actually has plenty of cars between himself and Matt Hoyland, who is the driver in 3rd in the pro class. So for now, it seems relatively stable in the pro class. Constant battling in the mid-pack though, sort of that top 10 fight overall is looking very tasty. Yannis Albert right in there trying to chase down Matteo Carbonari. You've got chopping and changing Paul Cowlishaw and Gilles Philipparts battling away, as Paul Cowlishaw is actually making a good little bit of progress at the moment by the looks of things on my graphic. Or that could just be a case of drawing different cars, because there's a lot of chopping and changing all around at the moment. I think my internet's not having the best of times either. It might be something to do with there being nearly 60 cars on the grid. It's causing a lot of issues. Hopefully not for the drivers when they're racing. Everything seems to be fine.
There's a car gone in the end of the pit lane. There's a car has gone into the end of the pit wall. Carbonari. Yep, Carbonari is around. I'm just going to I'm trying to bring this down still, everybody. You can hear it in the background. I'm doing what I can do, but you're going to have to just bear with me here, everyone. This is not good.
I'll have to look into Carbonari right there as to what went wrong for him, but that is probably his race over and done with in terms of any sort of strong points being scored here tonight.
It's just too
Casey, Tristan Dinnebraker, the two RDSA Esports drivers going well. They've got Alex Therese in the midst of it, along with obviously Yannis Albert just up ahead of them. Acura looking a little bit battered and bruised actually on the front of Yannis's car. He's been in the wars, bless his heart, and hopefully it's going to be a nice clean race from here on out. He's got plenty of RDSA esports drivers for company. It's just Alex Torres, or Therese, sorry, that's sort of ruining their perfect photograph opportunities. There's Bobby Trundley now under pressure a little bit from Christopher Steinen. It's very aggressive at the inside. You'll definitely know about it if that thing hits you, the big beefy Mustang. And Bobby, I think very wisely, gives up that place, doesn't lose any points whatsoever though, because it was not a class position that he was giving up, just an overall place.
Yeah, they move on to the next lap of the race. Still 24 minutes to go. Fraser Smith is leading the way. You'll have to believe me. He's got Denzel Clarkson a little bit further back, but that is actually Carbonari that is alongside him there. He's just put a lap on him. Eric Verlet is around. He is around and, well, gone by the look of it.
Yeah.
He has disappeared into thin air as Eric Verlet, it seems. Not quite sure where on earth he's ended up going, but unfortunately, he is around and has had an issue. Not sure if he had contact with somebody or what, but he has had some drama, to say the least.
Yeah, that seems to be eventually his race done and dusted as well. Trying to just keep track of all of this battling. And all I see on my timing software, Chaz, is just a sea of red and orange and yellows as the battling is as close as ever. Christopher Radloff once more off the circuit, getting back up to racing speed, being very careful to not get in the way. It's very difficult. He rejoined safely, but then just the closing speed of the cars behind meant that he would be right on the apex. And when Raz Harper arrived on the scene, Glenn Andrew Christensen got past him, as did Raz Harper. But now Christoph finds him slotting in just up ahead of Nick Stubb. But I say that as he runs wide and tries not to collect anyone. Nick Stubb gets through, as does Gilles Philipparts. Gilles actually had that moment earlier on. We saw his car facing the wrong way coming out of McLean's. I think it was actually Coppissary, my bad. As car trying to get back onto the circuit there. Who's that coming out of the pit lane that we just couldn't quite see? Is that
Ashley Brooks? Yeah. Ashley Brooks has just left the pit lane in the MRC 495 NSX. There's an Audi there. We haven't seen an Audi for a bit.
Oh, word, yeah.
Goodness me, who is that? Peter Duke. The Northern Irish driver, Peter Duke, driving the Audi. The only one out there in the order by the look of it all night. It is an Audi, I promise you. It may be him deploying the Dazzle camo there, but it is definitely an Audi R8 LMS Evo 2.
No, we just need that BMW, but then again, we don't want any more different cars to try and render, otherwise Chaz's PC might not just have the studs, it might catch fire. So it's probably for the best if we don't see BMWs for everyone's sanity, even though I quite like the look of it. And I know I'm the only one.
Yes, Ed is the only person that likes it. We've established this many a time. He's the only person that enjoys the look of the car.
And I think it was biased because I had some great races in that thing. Not a great race, not a great evening for Ryan Ottens, is it? Once more, just going from bad to worse for him. Just can't catch a break tonight, can he, Chaz?
No, not one bit, and it seems like both of those Corvettes running into trouble throughout their races. It's a huge shame to see it. Here's Daniel Lee, third position for him at the moment. 7 places gained in the race and 9 places gained in class. This will be looking good on his stream, I'm sure. He'll be enjoying that one. So will his fans. But he's got right behind him Stephen Donnelly, who is leading the way in the Pro class right now. As we said earlier, he's usually at the sharp end of said class. Bobby Trundley was also not too far down on the reverse grid either. He's in second place after taking his win earlier on. So all they've done is just basically reverse their roles between first and second in the class. As they now head out of Coppice. I was just about to say it stabilised for a second there. And it started blinking again a little bit. It just seems to be when it renders so many cars, so here's what it is. Still, side by side there is, let's Luke Lucchese through. And that's important to see that. That's the first time we've properly seen that so far this season, is the fact that there's a car being let through from a faster class, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of the time it's the early doors of the season where I think the drivers are trying to size each other up and battle with one another. I think Bobby's just gotten to the point now where he thinks, okay, Luke Lucchese is a driver that's probably best to not try and fight and instead try and use him to maybe catch up to the driver he's going to be racing with, and that is Stephen Donnelly. Just looking in behind, actually, the drivers that he needs to be concerned about. Matt Hoyland there are, what, 7 cars between him and Matt? So Bobby's quite comfortable at this stage of the race, can afford to give up a few places here or there. Just can't afford to get swallowed up by the pack and lose sight of Stephen Donnelly up the road.
Yeah, you've got to just think about the bigger picture, haven't you, with stuff like this? So you can't overdo it for the sake of just one position. So,
especially this early in the championship as well.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be on the back foot in any way, shape or form. We get a chance to look at Robert Backer's car with this amazing STL livery. With that, like Ed said earlier, well, we would look at it if it wasn't blinking in and out all over the place. It's got that sort of holographic look down the side of it. I like that metallic shade as well. That's very pretty. Luke van Gortel was quite the subject of our race earlier on, chasing down his countrymen. There's actually 4 Dutch drivers in a row there, followed by 4 British drivers as well. And they head down towards the chicane once more. Fraser Smith, though, he's having a fantastic run, isn't he, in the Conehead racing machine. Never seen this team before, and I do quite like the livery. It's very funny.
Yeah, Fraser Smith, definitely nothing funny about his performance, though, was it? It's been brilliant from him from the word go, as Danny Lee has actually really closed up to the back of Denzel Clarkson on this last lap. I think Danny is going to realise that Fraser, with this amount of clear air, is probably too far away to catch for the race victory, but can definitely get up another place than Danny if it goes the way it is for the moment. Or look at those last laps, nearly identical between Clarkson and Lee. So Clarkson's certainly no slouch at the moment for Quad Dash Racing. Again, in the certainly unfavoured Ferrari, it's fair to say, Chaz, from at least the series that we've broadcasted before. Not a lot of people like that Ferrari. Doesn't seem to be a popular car at the moment.
No, definitely not. It's not been the car of choice for many, and it seems to be going well here. And it's one of those things again where, you know, the right driver and the right setup can just get that thing working so well. And I think that's the thing with fixed setups. It's not always a representation of how quick the car is, because it depends on who works on it, who drives it, and down to personal preference, who can get the most out of it. So yeah, it's been really good to see that that the Ferrari, and you know, it's opened up the manufacturers a little bit more, but the Porsche's still one of the most popular cars out there, just because of its, I was going to say simplicity, but it's just such a driver's car, and it gives you so much, such a stable platform. It's great to see it so well represented.
Yeah, it's just a comfy car to drive, and it's a car that's easy to drive fast as well. There's some cars that, while you might be able to extract a little bit more top performances up the inside, goes Matt Hoyland this time on Robert Backer. Robert, though, with it trying to get the switchback, but parked on the apex. Matt Hoyland, there wasn't any room left in at the inn.
No, there absolutely wasn't. Have some of that, he says. And now down the inside of Robert Backer goes Dean Powell. Somehow squeezes the Mustang down the inside of the already very large Mercedes. They head down the start-finish straight once again. Battle going on here. Mike Fowler ahead of Chris Versteinen. Right together. And now all of these guys are trying to find their way around this McLaren. It's very, very pretty Quad Dash Racing McLaren. Making their way up to McLean's, and Chris Versteinen right up behind, filling the mirrors as, it was unnecessary.
It looked like there was a bit of netcode, but yeah, Chris Versteinen was definitely, there was going to be contact, I think, one way or another, unfortunately. Mike Fowler gets back up and running again, thankfully. We'll see just from this angle where the contact happened.
I mean, he was gonna make contact either way.
To Chris's credit, he does make the apex, but I don't know how much of that is helped by the contact that helps him make the apex or not. It doesn't really give an idea of the attitude of his car before and after the contact, that angle that we got. So I'm going to try and give him the benefit of the doubt and say that from what we saw, his wheels were on the apex when the contact happened. We'll see if Danny Lee's able to get to the apex up the inside. Here we go, a late diving move.
Fair play.
That's going to be some. I reckon we're going to see a tutorial on that on his YouTube channel very shortly. That was a lovely textbook move. There was just enough of a gap up the inside. Wasn't covered off fully by Denzel, and he just fully went for it.
Really good stuff that by Danny Lee. Very tidy indeed. Riding on board here with Stephen Donnelly. Heading up the hill towards McLean's. This epic sounding Porsche. Don't quite know what Stephen was flashing his lights at a minute ago, whether he feels like the Ferrari squeezed him out of room, but He was very late to the party when it came to turn 2. A lot of smoke and dust being kicked up just ahead. There's quite a bit of dust and debris being kicked up on the exit of the McLean's corner there, so understandably there is a hell of a lot of bits being kicked around. There's loads of marbles and debris and stuff on the way into the chicane as well, we can still see. It's just everywhere.
There's so many cars kicking up so much debris. It's just, you know, a constant stream of it. Always, when one car clears it up, another one lays it back down again. A little soaker right in the curves nicely. As ahead is that Ryan Woolsey, I think, was trying to have a look, wasn't he, on Alex Fretwell? Decided better of it. We've got that wonderful livery, like we said, of Alex Fretwell. It's sort of a bit simplistic, but definitely very nicely executed. It's got sort of an almost orange tinge at the front that then blends into a more sort of darker, more vibrant red as it moves along the sides of the car. It does go very nicely.
Yeah, it absolutely does when you can see it. We've got Ryan Woolsey chasing him down in the Lamborghini. It's great to have the McLaren 720S GT3 here on iRacing. It is an absolute staple of a GT3 car. There are some, to me, that are sort of more regular than others. I don't know what it is, but it's like the Mercedes. I've always been saying about how the Mercedes, with that, if you've got a GT3 championship with no Mercedes in it, I don't think you've got a GT3 championship. There's just something about that. The Mustang is something I expect to see less, but we see a lot of them. The Porsche, it's just inevitable. But yeah, I think the Mercedes in particular is a very important car. Let's have a little bit look further down the order, shall we? We've got Victor Van Zeist here with Jack Wyborn just behind him. Liam Kelso just behind a pair of them, waiting to try and make moves. As Branko Kapovic in the LS Racing Ferrari. Well, you have to take my word for it. He's been off the track. Lauren De Dapper in the LS Racing Machine is just ahead of this man, Nick Stubb, for Glass Tech Racing, and Joe Glass is going to, well, he's going to glass me, funnily enough, because of the fact that Chaz here said earlier that he would update the team names for Joe with Glass Tech Racing to put a capital T on it, and I hope he never watches this broadcast back, because he will find out that I have not done that at all, and he'll kill me. So
There we go.
let me make sure that I sort that out for just a minute.
Here we go. You see nothing. I'd whistle, but it comes through horribly on a broadcast microphone, so I'm not going to attempt that whatsoever.
Yeah, I would fire.
No. Yeah, it comes through very horrendously. So Nick Stubb, passed by Dead Upper. LS Racing. Let's just have a look up towards the front. Danny Lee not really gaining on Fraser Smith, sorry, at this opening junction now that he has clear air. So I think it will be staying Fraser Smith from Danny Lee, from Denzel Clarkson. As into the pits actually comes.
Yeah. Nick Stubb. That's a strange one. Maybe, I don't know if he had an incident on that lap or anything that caused that, but certainly didn't look like it.
Maybe he had one a few laps earlier, was just waiting for the last possible moment before he has to take that drive through, because it doesn't happen instantly. You get, I think, a few laps.
Yeah, true.
Before you can come in. So maybe it was something that happened a couple of laps before. Hopefully all is well, and he's able to get back up and running. Points are scored for drivers all the way down, I think, to 20th place in class, if I remember myself right.
Yes, just looking at the rule book, it was 20. Yes.
It's 20th place in class. Drivers also have to complete 75% of the race distance and also meet the checkered flag. They can't basically call it a night early, do like 80% of the race, but then not make it to the end. They won't score points that way. Sort of incentivizes drivers to stick it through and ensure that we actually have some cars out on the track by the end of the race and not just, the top 10 rolling around. It means that there is always incentive for drivers to finish even if the race hasn't quite gone their way. Christopher Steinen, we're hoping he can get his way as he's now chasing down Stephen Donnelly, not for class position but rather track position, because if Chris is able to get ahead of Stephen, he could easily chase down that class podium, occupied currently by Denzel Clarkson, who's actually having a great race. He was obviously given that reverse grid pole position, but he's making great use of it, isn't Denzel?
Oh, it's very close there between the NSX and the Porsche. That was Tristan Dinabrega getting really close to the back of Kevin Daniels. Kevin throwing in the invisibility cloak while he's doing so. Luke Lucchese right behind as well. Tristan Dinabrega has his teammate for company. Interesting how the two liveries look so different from one car to the next, I suppose. But he's having a look down the inside of Kevin. Nothing doing this time round. Ale Therese is there as well. He wants a piece of this. No rear bumper on Ale's car for me, so I'm not quite sure how he's had some
mine either.
Major contact throughout this and survived it, but seems to be doing all right.
Yeah, very strange. Weight saving, if anything. Certainly, I'm not sure if that would pass Parc Ferme regulations. Thankfully, we don't have any of that to worry about on iRacing. It's nothing worse than having a race sort of changed at the end, isn't it, when a car fails Parc Ferme. Hate it when it's British touring cars as well. You see the little rollers go underneath and it just clunks you like, well, great race, and now there's no point for it because of Parc Ferme.
Yeah, he's certainly going to have to be careful of the minimum weight there. But still, it's a big old chunk. I mean, to be fair, I said earlier that the back of that car looks massive, so maybe he heard me and he said, watch this, Chaz, I'll make it more streamlined for you. Well, Kostek Sloviec is going to have to look at the back of the NSX for a little bit longer there as Yanis Albert gets past him on the right-hand side up at Coppice. Not an easy place to make an overtake there because you've got a blind apex. You've got to really be careful if you're the car on the outside not to just clip the grass a little bit and overdo it. Stephen Donnelly's just been overtaken here, by the way. There's been some shenanigans going on at the hairpin. Stephen Donnelly and Christopher Steinen side by side. Tristan Dinabrega now falling back a little bit. Christopher Steinen doing everything he can to get past Stephen, and it's not worked for him this time round.
No. Yeah, he got his nose ahead at a moment, but there, as they now come down through the Carrera curves, just see that Ford is desperate in its attempts to get through, but they're not actually losing a lot of time while battling, because in behind it's Kevin Daniels and Tristan Dinabrega in a fight of their own as well, with, like we mentioned, Ale Therese just waiting in the wings to pick up the pieces. For now, Stephen Donnelly's doing a great job of defending that position. Obviously, he's not really incentivized to do so, but it does help him out having all of these cars between himself and Bobby Trundley, who's currently in second place.
Yeah, he's certainly going to be enjoying that buffer, and knowing that Bobby has all of these cars directly in front of him as well. He can't just sort of dive past one of them and hope for the best, because he'll put himself in a really difficult situation if he gets himself in the middle of this pack. So there's no point for him to really lob it in there now and make his own life difficult. He may as well think championship points, second place. You know, he'll come away from Donington Park with a first and a win. So why wouldn't he be happy with that? You know, it's the sort of result that can change your season. We've seen 1 or 2 points really change a championship like this before. So these guys now, they need to think about that in the early stages. People always sort of throw themselves in a championship, sometimes overdo it at the start, and then later down the line they'll be looking back at nights like this and they'll go, you know what, if only I hadn't done this, I'd have been in a better position in the championship right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's going to be the same for Stephen Donnelly, who had a second in that first race and is on track for a win in the second race. It means that basically Stephen Donnelly and Bobby Trundley's nights will be pretty much mirroring one another.
Yeah.
It means that, of course, essentially means that for them, the championship is going to be a dead heat for them, and they could have both not bothered with this round. But of course, you've got to always have those top level performances, especially in this pro class, because I can imagine it's going to be very tight from now to the end, as Christopher Steinen has gotten through now on Stephen Donnelly. We missed that overtake, but I'm sure our event viewer is going to be able to refresh that for us. But we'll keep an eye on this action here, because look at down up the inside now. Tristan Dinabrega going for that move on Kevin Daniels, gets shuffled out wide. It's difficult to fit 2 cars side by side, and as a result Tristan gets shuffled out of the order. But then, taking great advantage, his teammate Luke Lucchese now up into 6th place. And Kevin Daniels loses out as another position to Ale Therese, that sort of weight-saved Acura. Usually a lot of people wait until January 1st to try and shed some weight, but you can see that Ale's got a head start on that.
He absolutely has. I'm still doing mine from a few years ago, to be honest. But it was a frustrating one to see that from Tristan Dinabrega. I didn't think he was going to go for that. I'm not sure if he was just missing his braking point innocently and trying to get down the inside or something. But I'll rephrase that. Whether he missed his braking point and found himself down the inside, or whether he was trying to make it into an overtaking manoeuvre, I'm not sure, but it didn't seem like Tristan that.
It looked like he was committing to it on the inside. He did brake very late into the corner with, I think, imagining that he'd get a full length of car ahead of him and that he could then afford to sort of just go single file. I wasn't necessarily anticipating the fight back from Stephen Donnelly there.
There's a lot of arguing going on in chat, and at the end of the day, Fraser has had a penalty in the first race, which has cost him points there, and he's done a good job here at the front of this one. He is doing a good job, regardless of what you all say in the chat. Fraser is keeping this car on the road, and he's putting in fantastic pace right now. There's nothing to argue about. He's doing 126s, no one else in the field is. He's doing a really, really solid job. Danny Lee is in second place by 11.5 seconds, and I mean, he's doing an awesome job as well. But at the end of the day, the format is the format. You know, you can argue about who was luckier and whatever and got pole position and did it strategically. Fraser got a penalty earlier, or he had damage. I think he might have even had damage, but yeah, it's a great job by him.
At the end of the day as well, it's just the first round of the season. A lot of this is going to almost certainly even out over the course of the next few rounds. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this is the final round of the championship and someone was done dirty, someone was sort of really unlucky and unfortunate. You kind of get luck and good and bad over the course of a season, where 9 times out of 10 it'll all balance out. And like what we've said about Fraser earlier, that he was a little bit too aggressive at moments in that first race. We're more than happy to call out a driver when we need to, but at the same time we also should be able to praise that very same driver when they're able to put on a performance like this. And there has been no driver better in this second race than Fraser Smith.
No, absolutely not. He's been a real star at the front of the field, and will continue to be, I'm sure, until the end of the race. He's not really got a massive amount of lap traffic. The number 7 car is just up the road. That is the Honda NSX of Malcolm Coates. But Fraser has maybe just this lap and then one more left to go. A bit further down then in this battle, Ali Therese looking down the inside. Ooh, Stephen Donnelly. Stephen will be on pins a little bit here, Ed, because of the fact that he's got all of these elite drivers right behind him now. All he wants to do is take his winning class, but there's only Therese and Pone between him and Trundley.
Yeah, and I do actually worry just a touch about where Stephen Donnelly is on his incident, because he's had so many cars close behind him trying to push through, trying to get past him, and I worry if that's maybe giving him a few contacts here and there where he is in terms of that limit, because as you can see, he's already given up quite a few places on these last couple laps, maybe in anticipation, realising that, right, I can't afford to have that drive through at this stage. Bobby Trundley, meanwhile, that gap has gotten, well, a lot smaller as a result of Kevin Daniels and Luke Lucchese and Chris Verstappen overtakes, get up the order as well. Looking back at the battles for, this is 22nd place in the elite class. Ryan Ottens with Raz Harper and Thomas Pugh, 3 drivers that have certainly been in the thick of it, it's fair to say, in this first, well, not first, in the second race. To be fair, all of their evenings have been topsy-turvy. Ryan Ottens at the moment would not be scoring points where he is at this moment in time. It's the top 20 in each class.
Lamborghini down the inside, hello.
Ooh, Ryan taking great advantage, isn't it? That was
Wow.
Raz Harper, I think, who made the initial move, and then Thomas Pugh shuffled back through the pack.
Thomas will be saying phew after that, after he didn't get collected by Ottens there. But really good stuff. He left just enough room on the left-hand side, and Ottens managed to slide his way by to get that move completed. Great opportunism, some will say very risky, but still. Mr. Hoyland is on for a podium in his class, currently running in 3rd in his class.
I keep seeing his livery and I keep getting thirsty. It's just that Monster Energy drink.
I see his livery and I want to throw up.
Do you not like that flavour?
I just don't like the livery.
I love it. It's beautiful. It makes me think of getting revved up on energy drink, is why I'm so energetic tonight and looking forward to these closing stages. As Stephen Donnelly now has, well, there's some back marker traffic, I think, to contend with. There's that Jeff Hancock. Haven't actually seen much of Jeff. That's a nice little purple Porsche he's got there, but Jeff doing the right thing, staying well out of the way now. Fraser Smith final corner to go, Chaz, and he'll be a race winner for the first time this season.
He absolutely will be. Race 1 may have not gone his way, but thanks to the format, Fraser has done a wonderful job here. Excellent job by Fraser Smith to take his first win of the season. Daniel Lee is going to come home in second position. A great podium for Danny, and he will certainly please his fans with that one. Denzel Clarkson, what a great drive by him in the quad dash Ferrari. He's going to finish in third place overall. He grabs himself a podium, and Stephen Donnelly gets his first win of the campaign in the Pro class. He finishes ahead of Matt Hoyland, actually. There was an issue for Bobby Trundley on that final lap there, Ed. Let's have a quick look back.
Oh dear, let's have a look. Bobby Trundley, his race was going so well up until this late moment. Is there... Oh my word, coming from far back and then some. That was the Honda. Was that of Tristan Dinabrega?
I think that might have been Dinabrega. That was... And to be fair to Bobby as well, he does a good job on the rejoin. But he will be absolutely devastated.
And it's not what we're used to seeing from Tristan whatsoever. It's just a case of the race not going his way. And I think it was just the frustration snuck in. He's not that type of driver. I think it was more just that red mist descending down. Real shame. And hopefully, for both those races, that didn't push them over the limit for a drive-through, because they could find themselves getting shuffled back even further. Bobby Trundley ended up finishing fourth as a result of that, outside the podium.
Very well done to Fraser Smith, though. He takes his first win of the championship, and it's another very solid performance by a Porsche driver. Pardon me indeed, but I will take some points, he says, in a fantastic result. Let's have a look then over the results of the second race of the night here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Let's actually choose the right class before we do so. Fraser Smith wins by 12.4 seconds over Daniel Lee, with Denzel Clarkson in third, Chris Versteinen in fourth, ahead of Luke Lucchese fifth. Kevin Daniels is sixth with Ale Therese in seventh. Kevin Poon is in eighth place with Kaz Brinkhausen in ninth. Tristan Dinabrega completes the top 10. Luke Van Gortel was 11th with Robert Bakker in 12th. Dean Powell 13th and Mike Fowler just behind in 14th. Then we had Ryan Woolsey in the DDK by Eagle Speed Academy esports car. Will Soper was 16th, ahead of Yanis Albert and Kostok Soloviej in 18th. Luke King 19th, and Raz Harper completes the top 20, ahead of Ryan Ottens and Thomas Pugh. Paul Cowlishaw was the final car in the lead lap. Then it was Henning Hauger and Matteo Carbonari after his early spin. Gilles Philipparts, Andrew Fairley, Gianni Terhar and Tom Weston do not complete the race. And we'll move over to the pro standings with Ed May.
Thank you very much, Chaz. And yes, it was Stephen Donnelly who had to defend very strongly from a chasing pack of elite class drivers to hang on to the lead that he was able to take by 3 seconds over Matt Hoyland. Alex Fretwell completing the top 3 on the podium there for the first time tonight, with Bobby Trundley gutting for him late on with that little incident it was between himself and Dinabrega that saw him shuffle back into fourth place, but still strong points when you consider his entire night. Also had that race of victory in race 1. Chris Jennings rounding out the top 5 for Axis Sim Sports ahead of Ranko Kapovic, Christopher Radloff in 7th, Peter Duke in 9th, Martin Kenyon 9th, and then 10th Glenn Andrew Christensen. Jack Wyborn in 11th, ahead of Victor Van Zeist, Liam Kelso, Simon Wareham, Marcel Breitenbach in 15th, ahead of Francois Brandet, Malcolm Coates, Lawrence Dedapper, Lawrence Van Vater, and then Alexander Draby, Jeff Hancock, David Wester, Jason Hodgson, Ashley Brooks, and then drivers not finishing that race, Nick Stubb, Eric Valet, Steve Axisa Farrell, and Tristan Engelstad completing the 28 cars in your pro class. But well, Chaz, what a opening round of the championship. It had it all. It had action, it had great moves, it had some lesser stellar moments, but at the end of it, it was still a very exciting start to what is sure to be a brilliant 7th season.
Yeah, it absolutely should be. Unfortunately, with the blinking and so on, we're going to have to try and see if we can grab some drivers in the meantime and get a word from them. And obviously, we'll try and avoid any potential issues with cars blinking in and out, but it's going to be what it is. Matt Hoyland, hello.
Hello again.
Welcome to the commentary box, Matt. It's great to see you on our screens once again, mate. You must be really pleased with that second race, second place in class. Not a bad night all in all for you.
Really good, actually. It was actually quite uneventful as far as my evenings go. Usually there's some sort of disaster in race 1 and then I have to try and recover race 2, but no, the pace was pretty good. I do feel a little bit guilty taking P2 at the end from Bobby. He drove really well and he fully deserved that P2, but otherwise, yeah, I can't complain.
And what was it like having so many cars around you on circuit again tonight? Obviously the grid back up to full strength, 57 cars in the field. It must have been pretty intense.
Busy is the word I'd use, I think. At times it was like I thought I was going to have crashes at least a dozen times that race. Not because you're particularly doing anything crazy, but it's such an awkward track anyway, Donington. There's a lot of corners that are one line, and if people don't sort of file in and give way a bit, they're so slow on that exit, and then everything just backs up. It's crazy how it works, but yeah, I really enjoyed it though. It's nice to see the grid so strong, and there's been like some serious competition tonight. Like the pace has stepped up again.
I was going to say the competition has ramped up massive since last time Ed and I have commentated on the series, but we know that it's still even a step up from last season as well, isn't it? It just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, it is. It's especially the guys in the top class. I'm very glad that I'm not up there. I know I pulled off some good results in past, but they are really now like extreme levels of pace and beyond what I am currently capable of. But it's also nice to see that there was a battle in the second class as well. Obviously, I was listening on the other split that was going on as well, and that sounds really competitive. So overall, it's really good for the league.
Absolutely is, mate. It's great to see you get some solid points out of the first racing of the season. A few weeks break now, of course, but what can we expect from you for the rest of the season now? Are you confident as you like to go and take victories?
I hope so. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get up there and fight with Stephen and Bobby. Maybe we'll see some other guys come up there as well, but I'm just hoping to keep some consistency for a change. I know I've had good pace in past seasons, but I've always been let down by weeks where I just completely... not have head loss, but I just cannot get it together, and that in the end is what cost me. So I just want to keep getting in and around that podium, troubling for wins, and hopefully by the end I'll be somewhere close.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, Matt. Great to speak to you as always, mate, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Cheers. A great Christmas and New Year as well, mate.
Yes, you guys too. Thank you.
Cheers. We'll very, very quickly move on, shall we? And we will have a chat with our Race 2 overall winner, Fraser Smith. Fraser, welcome to the booth. First off, well done, and we love the livery. What was the inspiration there, do you know?
I can't take any credit for the livery. My teammate Will did all of that. I did the boring stuff like the setup, so can't take any credit.
Always boring bit. Your night wasn't boring though, was it? Very, very busy out there. Maybe the second race was a little bit dull in comparison, but it certainly went well compared to race 1.
Yeah, race 1 was a bit annoying, but it is what it is. It's really hard track to overtake cleanly. I picked up a few instant points and got drive through. But luckily with a reverse grid, you've always got a second chance, haven't you? So I made the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those circuits where you can sort of take it or leave it sometimes with results. It's not easy at all. You've got a few weeks left of a break now, at least before you come back. So, do you think that's good to sort of get the season out of the blocks really quick and then have a bit of time before you come back again?
Probably, yeah. Let the dust settle and everyone come back next year and hopefully keep it together. But a lot of cars out there.
Yeah, my CPU knows it. Obviously, the competition in the elite class is absolutely insane. Are there any drivers in particular this season that you've got your eye on to try and compete with or beat, or is it just a case of beat all of them?
Yeah. I haven't really done a big league like this for a long time, so there's a lot of people I don't really recognise. I've not really raced many of these guys. So I've learned from the past you just need to try and be as consistent as possible, really.
Well,
so I'll try my best.
Yeah, I was going to say it's just a case of taking points, I think, as a season like this goes on. But we look forward to seeing it, mate. And, of course, well done once again on your victory tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout-out to before you go?
Yeah, I think I've got quite a few friends watching. Girlfriend Grace is watching. Dad's watching. So plenty of people.
Well, great to speak to you as always, Fraser. Thank you very much for jumping in. Well done on the win, and have a great Christmas and New Year.
Thanks, mate. You too.
Cheers.
Yeah.
And it would not be our first, what is it called? A broadcast of the season without a good chat with Danny Lee. Danny, I'm sorry, mate. I've lost my head today because my CPU really doesn't like this many cars. How are you, first off? It's been a while, and how was your night?
Yeah, it's great to be reunited. Perfect fun, loved it. And didn't get away. I wanted to in race one, but that's the way it goes. First race of the season feels like walking into a Spoons that's full capacity, you know. So you just kind of got to go in and try and survive. And like I say, I've raced a season prior with these guys last season. They were great, and it's nice to have a new intake of people that have once again provided really decent racing, really fine moments in there. So a great start to the season.
I was going to say, it's a hell of a place to go for a start of a season as well, isn't it, Donington Park? It's a real commitment circuit. Gives you an idea of just about where everybody's at, but the level in this series is just bonkers, isn't it?
It's definitely compressed now, but they've got 2 splits. The growth of the series seems to be excellent, so that's good to see. And now, because of that, we have even more quality drivers in one place, and it's just, you know, it's like waiting for a 10-course dinner. I just can't wait to see what's going to come out next. And I'm just glad that this race had its great moments. Everybody's been buzzing with excitement to get in, choose their cars, find out what they want to do, and just start with a fresh slate.
Your analogies never fail to amaze, Danny. It's absolutely wonderful stuff. It's great to see you back on our screens again, and obviously in the Mustang as well of all cars. It's a bit of an acquired taste, I think. What do you reckon?
Well, it was time for a change. Last series I chose a naturally aspirated front-engine V8. So we've gone to a naturally aspirated front-engine V8. You know, just something different. It just feels like the Merc was down on pace, and it seems like that was the case. But training in the Merc provided us with the best setting to jump in the Mustang and just be straight on the pace. It feels like the Merc, but with grip. So we're happy. Makes it a loud noise. What more do you really want?
Exactly. That's all you want from a GT car. And obviously you got the result out of it as well, mate. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just commendations to the admins. They do such a great job making this possible and building it all together, giving us a place to race on Thursdays. So my gratitude to them. It's been a great event to look forward to, and I can't wait for the rest of the season.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you again as well, Danny, and thank you very much for jumping in to chat to us. Have yourself a fantastic Christmas and New Year, and we'll see you in 2025, mate.
And yourselves. Cheers, Chaz. Cheers, Ed. See you on the other side.
See ya.
Always so well spoken, so well presented, Danny. He's always got a great answer for everything, hasn't he? He's got a lovely way of explaining things, and that's why he's such a good content creator, isn't he?
He is. He's really good at what he does, and both with the microphone in his hand, but also behind the wheel. He's done a great job there with that second place result, getting some strong championship points as well. It's just like having those consistent results that could see him with a great performance over the course of the season. But, well, Chaz, I think that brings the evening to a close unless we have one other driver lined up. It's been a really, really great night.
Yeah, it's been an absolute belter tonight. Again, I just want to apologise for all the blinking and so on, everybody. You've all seen it before, I'm sure, here on iRacing. You know how intensive it can be with this many cars out there on the circuit. We'll obviously work on it through the next couple of weeks and see what we can do to make it better for next time. But thank you very much for sticking with us here on Chaz Draycott Media and in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Thank you to Kame, thank you to Keenan Eco Energy, and thank you to the GP2 Group as well for their sponsorship of the championship. Thanks, Ed. Thanks, the drivers. Thanks to the organisers as well, and thank you all for watching. We'll hopefully see you in a few weeks' time. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, everybody, and we'll be back again in 2025. Have a good one. Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're 3 wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been moved and a switch is going off. back Gregory now. I love this. 2.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.